welcome to the 263 Political Café, and I'm your host, Tariro Gurure. We have yet another exciting young man in the studio, and his name is Takudzwa Mudzuri. I think a lot of people know him from the law side of things, and today we'll be navigating around the issues of women and gender-based violence in politics. Welcome, Takudzwa.
Thank you, Tariro. Welcome to our listeners. It's a pleasure to be here and to share with you. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Takudzwa. This is a topic that is very close to my heart, and we could get straight into it and look at 2018. The Gender Commission put out some reports. Can you just please take us through the important part of this report regarding the elections and maybe the violence against women in elections?
All right. Thank you very much. So it is quite a topical issue when you talk about gender-based violence and coming to elections. You'd realize that there are a lot of factors that affect women, and Zimbabwe Gender Commission has actually made a study after the election as to the pre- and post-election findings, and some of them is, I would say, from my reading of it, is more of the violence actually falls on us as the people of Zimbabwe. We are the ones that actually do not understand the nature of politics. I would say that a woman can also participate in politics. You'd find there's a lot of misogyny and patriarchy that actually derail women from participating. Some of the findings that the Gender Commission made are that patriarchy, religion, and something like low access to information are some of the things that derail women from participating. Why do I say so? When one is about to participate, perhaps one can say this is a job best fit for a man, but not knowing that we have our own Bianeanda, who was a liberator,
yes,
and we had Chimbwido, I think they were called
Chimbwido, yes,
with the females, right? Yes. And Chimbwido were also playing a role, but now when they're playing a role, you'd find there's name calling. You call them prostitutes for participating in politics. And so those are some of the findings by the commission, that there is a lot of social backlash going on to females who want to participate, and there's lack of education in terms of what it means to participate in elections, in terms of what it takes to be a leader. And there's also political gatekeepers. Political gatekeepers are, for instance, you'd find in a party there is a women's league and a youth league. Automatically, once you achieve in the women's league, that's it. We only had one deputy vice president over the time. 2005 is when we had the highest representation of women, which was 35%. Now we have 31% with the current government, hoping that it would go above with the quota which was introduced.
Okay. You've really touched on on something that's sort of controversial at the same time, and some people might beg to differ. You've talked about, can we've seen how in 2005 it was 35%, and then now it's 31%, and even with the quota system that was introduced in 2018, still the number of women is still less compared to 2005.
Yes.
Why is that?
I would really blame that mostly on the political gatekeepers. Like I was saying, that in a party, for one to succeed to being an MP or to even be a candidate, right, they would have to face a lot of hurdles. For instance, the first one is if the male counterpart in most situations, they would try to sexually exploit the younger person, the younger female wants to go to the podium. If not, it is then the society that is name calling you for trying to get to cheat with the big boys, so to say. And then so that is where most of the problem is. But if it is not for that, it is my belief that the quota system is actually improving on the participation of women. If you look at the trends, it is going up. Like I said, 2005 was the highest, right? And then now it is 31. I would have just cross-checked, but I think Zimbabwe actually is after Rwanda, which I believe Rwanda is doing good, we are one of the few countries that is actually improving on the women participation in politics. And if we keep up with it, if we raise awareness on the need of women to participate in politics, then perhaps we can actually reach above the quota.
Okay, there's work that you do as an activist. Can you just tell us what inspired you to start that? And your activism, rather, I think you're doing advocacy because this is something that you're pushing for change, visible change. What inspired you to start that?
Well, I call it lawyering for change, actually. There's a typical, going to court and everything that lawyers do, but I believe that the bread and butter issues are not solved in court. They actually are solved in the community. Where you go to the community, you educate them. It's like trying to get the larva before it turns into the fly or the mosquito. So we get to the larva stage and we deal with the problem at the larva stage. So when I do my activism, for instance, with gender-based violence, I'm simply going to the community and raising awareness on this is what it means to say gender-based violence. This is what it means to say gender-based violence in politics. This is what it means to say gender-based violence in a workspace. So if you can respect this, save the next person from going through, degrading treatment or anything like that. That's what I call lawyering for change. It's a very easy way of dealing with a big problem. Then we'll get to court. I'll still be there. But I would rather start from now, yeah.
Oh, interesting. So you'd rather deal with the problem, with the cause, not the symptom.
Yes.
So you're trying to deal with the cause of the GBVs, the gender-based violence, the issues that are happening in our communities, regardless of gender in this case.
Yes. So, for instance, maybe just to draw it back, I would say with gender-based violence, yes, it is a problem. It is actually a pandemic in our society. But I believe that if you'd actually engage and sensitize high school children let's say high school children or tertiary students, they will probably cut the cycle of gender-based violence rather than going to address elderly people in the community. So that's what I'm saying, you cut the problem from the root cause. We are trying to educate the young people because we are the leaders of today and tomorrow. So once we are capable, once we are emancipated, then definitely we can deal with these problems.
I really love what you said, Kuti. We are the leaders of today and tomorrow. Speaking of leadership, do you think, Kuti, we are at a place in Zimbabwe where women are free to participate without being engaged in any form of violence? Because you spoke about sexual exploitation, where if you want to find yourself sort of in parliament or in council or even in senate, you must be with the big boys or they have to pimp you in a sort of way. So can we find ourselves as a nation or as a country where we know the ability that a woman can bring to the table without going sexually or without going in a corrupt way? Because there's also corruption if you come to think of it.
Yes, yes. I think it all boils down to us appreciating that we are equal beings. We come to the table equally. It's all about what do you offer as a person and what do I offer to the table. I personally think that the role is actually on men to appreciate the wrongdoing in their actions. It's on men to appreciate that we are equal and then we can move on. It is for us, I would still say, because whenever I address, I try to speak to the male bodies to identify in their actions. It's funny when you talk to men, they've never seen a rapist, but then statistically it's men who rape. So, that's what I'm trying to say, that let's talk about it as men. And when we talk about it, you'd find that if someone is trying to be a councillor, then you as the MP, you don't have to say, well, how about we go to a lodge or something like that, or you stop exploiting people sexually for them to rise up the ladder. And also as a society, I still believe that there's need to sensitize the society, make them aware that participating in politics does not make you promiscuous in any way. Being a politician does not make you a prostitute in any way, right? And so those are some of the things that I think as a society would probably move ahead if we deal with them.
You spoke about the conversation around men, because there's no way I can or you can identify a rapist until they rape you. So, and there's no way we can literally say Ningi is a rapist until we hear their story or we hear what happened during that, until they're proven guilty. Sometimes these stories don't even make it to court.
Yes.
But the conversation, is it something that with your initiative as the things that you do, is this something that you guys have started, that have been doing?
Yes. So with our conversations, I would like to say mostly we translate or simplify the Domestic Violence Act, and we post that mostly around the 16 days of activism, which is for people to see. Usually we use a very attractive and vivid background image, if you've seen some of the posters. Yes. Such posters are meant to strike uncomfortable conversation amongst people, When we say we talk on radio or even on our other podcasts, we are still talking about things that are uncomfortable. So we are getting it to your ears. We are trying to spark the conversation. I'll take you back to the Me Too movement in South Africa. If anything, there was anything that was actually uncomfortable for me as a male body, it was the way it was done. I like it because it actually made men shake. So you didn't have to wait for someone to be proven guilty. You'd say A, B, C, D came to me, they tried to do A, B, C, D. And in the society, they'll never think A, B, C, D would do it. Yeah. Right? And that Me Too movement really sparked a lot of conversation. And I believe that's something that perhaps with as legal perspective, we actually get to as an activista or get to through these podcasts, through these conversations, that those who hear would actually want to engage more and deal with what you're talking about. Like in this instance, that we are approaching the election and there is domestic violence, there is gender-based violence in against women participants. The name calling is terrible. Sexualizing women participants is terrible. That is a form of gender-based violence that we should actually desist from, whether you're just a layman or you're a politician, but we are all doing it.
Okay. You've already jumped into my next question on the prominent forms of violence that women go through, that young women go through, and even older women go through in this political circle. We are going into 2023, and this is something that even a potential candidate might want to know. They might not have the right awareness. So can you just try and unpack and tell us these prominent forms of violence?
All right. Let me do that. So there are quite a lot of forms of political violence against women. The first one, I would say, is name calling, which I've explained that. So it's actually a shame that even on Twitter, we see it a lot, I've seen Fadzamere being dragged a lot of late.
Yeah.
That is a form of actually violence, political violence against women participants, right? I've seen another one. It should be Tudor? No. Let me not say the name. I'll say the wrong person. But she's also, dragged, name called on Twitter. There's sexualization of the participants. Instead of looking at what they provide to the table, you're actually looking at their construction as a person, And there's another thing is the confidence in women themselves to think that I can actually go to this table and challenge the status quo and deal with it. So that confidence is rather derived from others who would try to speak you down, or people would say, I'll not say people, but then the actual responsibilities that women have, like taking care of children and everything. And whilst being a politician is a job that requires you to be on the move, delivering your promises over and over again. So I believe those are some of the things that probably, some of the causes. But if you just allow me to refer, I have more.
Please.
I have more that are...
I think while you're looking for where to refer to, you have spoken about there's so much name calling, and this is where the whole journey stops. If you come to look at it, I've declared my candidacy as a young woman, and then the name calling starts. While we're name calling and doing all that, I lose my confidence. I lose even potential sponsors that would have wanted to take me through the campaign.
Yes.
I lose even the potential supporters that would have voted me into power by just the word of name calling. So how can we also look at that while you refer and then answer that question?
All right. I might actually probably have you to refer the next question, but let me answer the first one now. On some of the other forms. So the other form actually is like you're just saying now is there's lack of adequate resources that is brought to the women participants, and that lack of resources is what actually makes them prone to abuse. For instance, like we're saying that you want to campaign, you want to be on the list. Instead of funding for your own, you have the big boys asking for sexual favors. And then the other one is on the lack of political networks for women, which is for them to actually go up the ladder. They might need a lot of networks and formations with other people, but in this case, they don't have such networks, and that's actually another reason why they get derailed to go up the ladder, because essentially, who do you know? Who knows who? Yeah.
Who knows who and who knows what. So the connection, the way of connecting, the way of knowing who's and who's. Is this not a way to what you called gatekeepers? A way of gatekeeping to say, so if I don't know the political commissar, or if I don't know the provincial chair or the whoever, I might not even get the PR seat. So are we not also, as women, gatekeeping each other from getting into this?
I mean, it's one of the funniest things about gender-based violence is it's not the man who's always perpetrating it against the woman. Most of the time, it's really woman against woman form of gender-based violence, and that's where you'd find the one of gatekeeping each other from doing something. Where, unless I like you, then I'll refer you to the political commissar or whatever it is. And the other form is that I'm the political commissar, and unless someone refers you to me, then there's nothing for you. So the gatekeeping really, it is something that I think is more political. It is the nature of the game of politics. But it is also to sensitize the players in the game that, you're actually gatekeeping by doing A, B, C, D. It's like a red tap, for instance, that is just there in politics. But that red tape, for us to deal with it, is we have to talk to the participants, the players, the main actors in the game are the ones we're telling that this that you're doing is a form of gatekeeping. So let's not look at gender. Let's look at what the person is bringing to the table.
To the table.
Yeah.
Okay. Remember the report of the Gender Commission Zimbabwe came out, and Gender Commission is also a government Chapter 12 commission, which means it's a branch in the government. After the report, with these recommendations acted upon, and if so, where are we?
Well, the thing with recommendations in Zimbabwe is it is interesting that no one really follows up after them. So, for instance, with all the recommendations that was done, you still find that the Gender Commission is getting about 10% of its funding from government. So, despite having recommendations, for instance, like the victim-friendly unit, it's not emancipated enough to deal with some of these issues. But there's no funding, actual funding going to them to develop, to deal with these things. One of the challenges which was identified by the commission is that, the main problem is that the political players are also the instigators of the political violence. And these are usually powerful politicians. So the VFU, the court services, police, or even the health personnel, they feel too small. They fear for their lives, and they'd rather let these cases just go off. So yes, there are recommendations, but I think there's more to do than just the recommendations. And I think it's up to the civic society to follow up on the recommendations as we go into the election, so that we keep everyone up to breast.
All right. You spoke of sexual exploitation. This is the word that is being used as sextortion in other spaces. Is this the same?
Sexual currency, yeah.
Is this the same?
Yes, it is like sexual currency. So it's doing a quid pro quo, but for someone who does not have to do a quid pro quo. It's this for that, but it's also supposed to be this for that.
You just where's the language so for us that don't understand,
so quid
just
pro,
break it down.
It is almost like, it's this for that. I'll give you this, you give me that.
Okay.
Right. And now when you talk about sextortion, it is a moment that I want a job, but for me to get a job, I have to have sex with you.
Okay.
And it happens so it's exploitation in the sense that it is someone of senior authority or someone who's in power that will take advantage of your need for help, for your need for political participation, which is actually your right. And they will ask for sexual favors just for you to get the opportunity that is actually yours, that was already yours to begin with.
Okay. We are going into 2023. What would you tell any young woman out there, a youthful young person who wants to go into politics in 2023 and beyond? What would you tell them? One beautiful thing.
One beautiful thing. When I look at Rwanda, I smile because Rwanda has more females in their government than any other country that I think I would know of in Africa. And if you look at the development rate of Rwanda, it's beautiful. So I still believe that it is the feminine energy that builds more than the masculine one. So get engaged, get involved, make it happen. I believe we can actually do what Rwanda is doing right now. And it's not the males who are doing it. It is the force behind a collective. We don't have to identify women as individuals, as persons who are good in the household. But imagine if they're so good in the household, what can they do to a nation?
Women are so good in the household part. And what they can do for a nation, I think it's even broader and even big.
Yeah.
Rwanda being an example of what a feminine touch can do. But we've also seen how in Zimbabwe, there hasn't been enough or urgency in terms of participation. When I say participation is people would rather go for the PR seat where there is the less hassle there is hassle, but there is the less hassle of these things. Yes, probably there is the gender-based violence, there's the abuse, but when they're going for the PR, there's less hassle where you get elected by the province or whatever, and then if whatever your party wins, you then find yourself a seat inside parliament. That you know where the danger is now. There's now the PR in council now, 30% of this. Are we not giving power to full participation? Remember, when I say full participation, is where I have to go with my counterpart in the primary elections. I beat them, I go to the primary or to the elections. I beat you, I go into parliament. And remember, when we are in parliament, I have a voice more than the one who has a PR representation, because the one with the PR representation doesn't have a constituency. Okay. You remember, they represent the people.
Yes.
They don't have a constituency. I have a constituency. So I have some sort of leverage and power. And what would you say with us going? Would you recommend young people, the new 10 seats, the new 30 seats in council? Would you recommend that?
Well, I mean, there's one statement that says no publicity is bad publicity. So let's grab them for whatever reasons. Yes, we need to fill up the seats, but once we are there, maybe the question is, why are we there? Okay. But my recommendation is rather, let's go the normal route, get elected, because I believe the whole point, or maybe let's not just do it for the sake of doing it, because you also need to know why you're there, why you're an MP, why you're a councillor. People will come to you with problems. These are real problems that need to be addressed. So, for instance, if you're there now an MP, you have to make laws. If you are just an MP just by name, how are you going to make laws that address our issues as young people? So if they're to be in council, I'm going to go to council and say, I'm looking for A, B, C, D, and if you're a young person, you should assist me. So perhaps, yes, there is no publicity, is bad publicity, but don't get the youth name in disrepute, because old people like using us as an example of doing bad stuff. Yes. So let's get there, do what we're supposed to do. How you get there maybe is if you find the PR way easier, then do it. But once you're in there, don't forget why you're there.
Why you're there.
Yeah.
Yeah, they always give us an example. We gave you 10 seats, but look at what you've done with them.
But old people only talk about us when they're comparing us to themselves.
To themselves. Interesting.
Yeah.
What legacy are they leaving really to compare us to them.
Yeah, because if they're doing better, then it'll be like, I wish I was doing like A, B, C, D, you know.
Okay, Taku, we are going into 2023, and how can we avoid to be victims of abuse? How can we avoid as women and also even as men to be victims of all these gender-based violences in 2023 and even beyond? Because gender-based violence, it's not only something that happens within that time, but this is a 365 pandemic that we are facing as a country.
Yeah, thank you for that question. I would say I am my brother's keeper and my sister's keeper. So it really starts with me as a person, respecting myself and also realizing that you deserve the same respect I should get. We both have a right to dignity. That means you don't have, it means you should not be degraded in any way to be made to feel less of a human. So gender-based violence, for instance, like I always say, beating someone will not change the problem. The problem will be there, plus medical cost for treating someone. The SARS will never be made even if you've beat someone. So I always say, I'm my brother's keeper and my sister's keeper. So are you. So it starts with us as persons and telling others so that we sensitize and conscientize our generation and we get to build in that way. And yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much, Taku, for coming. But before before your parting words, I just want to tell people out there that they should also look out for the campaigns that you do as we go into the 16 days of gender activism against gender-based violence. So yeah, you wanted to say something before we go. I
just want to say maybe just like a few recommendations that I found as I was doing my research, and I think these actually came from the Zimbabwe Gender Commission, which is to do with gender-based violence and elections. And one of them is to target and engage political leaders and their supporters with anti-GBV messages throughout the election cycle. And I think that's one thing that we'd also try to do as we get into the 16 days and into the elections next year as legal perspective. We'd also try to make some relevant posters that just help to create awareness. And then also capacity building on GBV services providers to enable them to provide services. And lastly, to consider establishing situation rooms which monitor elections so that if there are issues to do with GBV, they can actually be reported and they're taken through the electoral.
All right. Thank you so much, Taku, for taking your time to be with us here on the 263 Political Café. Until next time, goodbye.